Dating after 60. Say this and he's wet in seconds. But 80% women have no clue. Have you ever watched an older man's entire energy shift in the middle of a conversation, not because of what you said, but because of how you made him feel? His eyes meet yours and stay, not wandering, not distracted, just fully present. His breath deepens. His jaw tightens with anticipation. The air between you grows heavier, charged with something unspoken. And in that silence, without a single touch, you've already reached him, bypassing his logic and speaking directly to something deeper, his desire. After 60, seduction doesn't begin with your body. It begins with how you make him feel wanted. Because men after 60 crave the feeling of being desired, not just for what they provide, but for who they are. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Vernon again. In today's video, I'll share 4 things you can say that make a man feel instantly desired. The kind of words that awaken his emotions, melt his defenses, and make him crave your presence long after the conversation ends. But before we dive deeper into the psychology of desire and how words can become the most powerful form of touch, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Here, I share insights on love, dating, and emotional intimacy after 60 that honor the woman you've become and the connection you deserve. Now, let's explore how words said with the right tone and timing can reach deeper than any touch. 1. The psychology of desire. Men are visual creatures. Everyone knows that. But what most women don't realize is that attraction doesn't stop at what he sees. The male brain also craves emotional stimulation. And when you understand that, everything changes. When you speak in a way that feeds his imagination using tone, pause, softness, you activate his limbic system, the emotional center of desire. This isn't about saying overtly sexual words or trying to sound like someone you're not. It's about creating emotional anticipation, because anticipation is always more powerful than action. Think about it. The moment before a kiss, the pause before a whisper, the second when your eyes meet and neither of you looks away. That's where the real chemistry lives. Not in what happens next, but in the space before it happens. That tension, that uncertainty, that delicious waiting, that's what the brain remembers. That's what builds desire. I learned this from my own wife. Early in our relationship, she had this way of looking at me during conversations, especially in public places, and saying nothing, just holding my gaze for a beat longer than necessary. And in that silence, I felt everything: curiosity, desire, and connection. She wasn't performing, she was present. And that presence spoke louder than any words could. Words are emotional cues. They guide his imagination. They feed his ego gently. They create a feedback loop where his attention fuels your confidence, and your confidence deepens his desire. It's a dance, not a monologue. And when you understand that, you stop trying to say the right thing and start being the right energy. Oscar Wilde once said, "The very essence of romance is uncertainty." And he was right. Because when you leave room for a man's imagination to wander, when you let him wonder what you're thinking, what you're feeling, that's when he becomes captivated. Not by your body, by your energy. But what truly turns words into touch is the way you use your voice. 2. The art of verbal seduction. Her voice does the touching. That's the secret most women after 60 never discover. They think verbal seduction is about what you say, but it's not. It's about how you say it. Tone, rhythm, and silence are emotional weapons. And when a woman slows her speech, lowers her tone, and leaves space between her words, she creates tension. She signals both control and emotional safety at once, and that combination is irresistible. Here's how it works. When you slow down your speech, you force him to lean in. You make him pay attention. You create a bubble of intimacy, even in a crowded room. When you lower your tone, you activate the same neural pathways that respond to touch. A soft, steady, low voice feels like a caress to the male brain. And when you pause, when you let silence hang in the air, you give him space to feel, to imagine, to crave more. This is the art of verbal foreplay. You're not saying more, you're saying less, but meaning everything. Implied meaning will always be more powerful than spoken explanation, because when you hint at something instead of stating it outright, his brain fills in the blanks. And it always fills them in with something more intense than what you would have said. So what does this sound like in practice? It's phrases like, "You have no idea what you do to me," said slowly, said with a pause before, "no idea," said while holding his gaze. That phrase is powerful because it gives him both desire and significance. He feels wanted, yes, but he also feels emotionally important. And that's the core of masculine attraction after 60. Not just being wanted physically, but being chosen emotionally. Or try this: "I've been thinking about you a lot." The pause before "a lot" does all the work. It lets him wonder, what has she been thinking? Why is she telling me this now? What does this mean? And in that wondering, desire builds. These phrases awaken both testosterone, the hormone of desire, and oxytocin, the hormone of bonding. You're not just exciting him, you're anchoring him emotionally. You're making him associate your presence with both passion and safety. And that's the formula for emotional attraction that lasts. Seduction isn't performance, it's emotional attunement. It's the art of letting your energy, not just your words, do the touching. It's knowing that your voice can create the same effect as a hand on his chest, a whisper in his ear, a look that says everything without saying anything at all. Anais Nin wrote, "We do not grow absolutely, chronologically. We grow sometimes in one dimension and not in another. Unevenly. We are relative. We are mature in one realm, childish in another." And I think that applies to seduction too. After 60, we're mature enough to know that real attraction isn't about games. But we're wise enough to know that playfulness, mystery, and emotional depth make love more alive. How do you use your voice to create connection? Do you slow down, or do you rush? Do you leave space, or do you fill every silence? Share your thoughts in the comments, because the way we speak reveals how we love. Now that you understand tone, it's time to learn how to play with his imagination, and that's where real attraction lives. 3. The mind-flirting game. Flirt with his mind. That's where lasting attraction hides. Physical attraction fades, but mental attraction? That builds. And when you learn to flirt with a man's imagination, you create something far more powerful than momentary desire. You create obsession. The psychology here is simple but profound. When you leave things unsaid, the male brain fills in the blanks, and it always fills them in with something more intense, more vivid, more emotionally charged than anything you could have said outright. You're not giving him the full picture. You're letting him paint it himself. And when he does, he becomes invested. Because we always value what we create more than what we're given. So, how do you do this? You hint, don't tell. You stay unpredictable. You use your silence like punctuation. And you say things like, "You have no idea what I'm thinking right now." Then you smile, and you say nothing else. That phrase creates cognitive tension, the growth, mind's version of touch. His brain immediately starts working. What is she thinking? Why won't she tell me? Is it about me? And the more he wonders, the more he's drawn to you. Because you've made him chase an idea, not just a person. And ideas are infinite. My brother Thomas once shared this with me. He said that in his dating years, the women who stayed in his mind weren't the ones who told him everything. They were the ones who made him wonder. One woman, he said, used to end their phone calls with a laugh and say, "I'll tell you later." And he said he spent the entire next day thinking about what later meant. Not because she was manipulating him, but because she understood the power of anticipation. This is emotional stimulation in men. You're not teasing to frustrate. You're creating space for his imagination to roam. And when it does, it always roams back to you. Partial disclosure. Instead of saying, "I missed you," say, "There was a moment today when I," and then pause. Let him ask, "When you what?" And then smile and say, "I'll tell you when I see you." You've just turned a simple sentiment into an event, into anticipation, into desire. Flirting isn't manipulation. It's emotional play. It's giving a man the joy of wondering, the thrill of not knowing everything, the pleasure of discovery. And the woman who knows how to do that doesn't chase attention. She becomes attention. She becomes the thought he can't shake, the feeling he wants to return to, the presence he craves even when she's not there. Mae West, the queen of verbal seduction, once said, "It's not the men in my life that count, it's the life in my men." And what she meant was this: it's not about how many men want you. It's about how alive you make them feel when they're with you. And that aliveness comes from playfulness, mystery, and the courage to let him wonder. So save this video and come back to it whenever you need a reminder that attraction after 60 isn't about doing more. It's about being more present, more confident, more playfully mysterious. But the secret power of all this is what happens when desire transforms into emotional attachment. 4. Emotional desire and obsession. When lust turns into attachment, what happens when you make a man feel both desired and safe? When passion and vulnerability awaken in him at the same time, that's when attraction turns into something deeper: attachment. When a man associates your presence with positive emotion, safety, excitement, curiosity, joy, his brain releases oxytocin, the same hormone that bonds parents to children. He becomes emotionally addicted to you, not in a toxic way, in a healthy, magnetic way. He craves your energy because it makes him feel more alive, more seen, more himself. This is the difference between lust and love. Lust is about taking. Love is about feeling. And when you speak to a man in a way that makes him feel emotionally significant, not just physically desired, you trigger emotional desire and bonding that goes far beyond the surface. So what are the signs that this shift has happened? When he starts texting you not just to make plans, but to share thoughts. When he remembers things you said weeks ago. When he seeks your opinion, not because he needs advice, but because he values your perspective. When he looks at you differently, not with hunger, but with reverence. That's when you know you've moved from his body to his heart. I know a friend from my book club, Grace, who once told me this story. She said, "I knew something had changed When he told me he couldn't sleep because he missed my voice. Not her presence, not her body, her voice. That's not lust. That's imprinting. That's emotional obsession, born from connection. True seduction was never about perfection. It was about presence. Because presence is the most powerful form of intimacy. It's how you make him feel seen, desired, and understood all at once. It's how you touch his mind before you ever touch his hand. And that's the truth about emotional connection after 60. We're not competing with younger women. We're offering something they can't. Depth, emotional intelligence, the confidence to be fully present without performance. The wisdom to know that real attraction isn't built on games, but on authenticity wrapped in mystery. Esther Perel, one of the greatest relationship psychologists of our time, said, "The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships." And I would add, the quality of your relationships depends on the quality of your presence. Because when you're emotionally present, everything you say becomes magnetic. So share this video, send it to a friend, post it in a group. Because there are women after 60 who need to know that they don't have to shrink to be loved. They don't have to perform to be desired. They just have to show up fully, confidently, unapologetically. By now, you already know this. To make a man after 60 melt, you don't need perfect words or practiced lines. You don't need scripted seduction. You just need emotional presence. After 60, attraction isn't about performance. It's about emotional energy. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you can touch a man's mind long before you ever touch his hand. It's the wisdom to know that real seduction happens in the space between words, in the tone of your voice, in the way you hold his gaze and let him wonder what you're thinking. It doesn't fade with age. It deepens. Because the woman who's lived, who's loved, who's learned, she knows that true sensual communication after 60 isn't about saying more. It's about meaning every word you say. In the words of Rumi, words are a pretext. It is the inner bond that draws one person to another, not words. And that's the truth. The words are just the vehicle. The real seduction is in the energy behind them. Have you ever said something that made a man stop and look at you differently, not because of the words, but the feeling behind them? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire another woman to step into her power. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more wisdom about intimacy, confidence, and the psychology of love after 60. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching till now, and see you in the next video.